today. We look inside how democratic presidents build in government don't be inside the past 5 years. Well, if people can remember, almost 5 years now, we Salon people been cast them votes them inside 2018 for votes for His Excellency the President, Dr. Julius Maada Bio, for let he go run the country for 5 years. The 5 years mandates don't they come to an end, and would they begin look at the different in them where His Excellency the President don't do inside the past 5 years. Today we look at how presidents be able to uphold the democratic principles them as na something we mandatory for any president we they rule the country. You get some democratic principle they way for uphold. And today for this program, we look at human rights and how people then win other stakeholders like the civil society, opposition party, don't they get the free space for participate inside governance. Well, for can look at then thing they also and for assess President Bio inside 5 years, we get three gentlemen there with win at the studio. We get the National Publicity Secretary for the All People's Congress APC party winner, the main opposition party in the country. CDI at Tunis stay with win at the studio. Good morning, Mr. Tunis.
Good morning, Khadija. Thank you very much for getting me here.
And also we get a voice, we're very vocal in the civil society space, where they talk about human rights. Na Abdul Fatoma, the Chief Executive for Chadi. Good morning, Mr. Fatoma, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Ms. Bangra, and good morning to people of Australia.
And of course, we're not going to assess the government for the past 5 years, how they're able to uphold democratic principle and create this space for other people and for participate without to knock out the government spokesman for Lekangi, the government perspective. Naime who get Mohamed Rahman. So I was in the studio this morning. We're the government spokesman and also Minister of Information and Communication. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Khadija. Me fumble on the morning.
All right, I will start with you for Lady Premise as you introduced the topic to listener them. For the past 5 years, you don't be a key player inside President Bio in government as a government spokesman, and also 2018, Salon people and be vote for President Bio for be president for 5 years. A mandate Sunday come to an end. But as I stated earlier, any president get key democratic principle them for uphold for ensure say able for govern the citizens them properly. Human rights and the way how opposition party them, civil society, the media they participate, now one key mandate stand they as a government way for uphold. For the past 5 years, how democratic presidents be in governments don't be in terms of human rights and free space for the people and participate.
Okay. President Bio came to power. First law set the context, right? President Bio now one of the foremost Democrats then we Salon get. Some of the members say in 1996 they conduct elections and return this country to democratic civilian rule. The rest of the history was sabi. After a brief stint in leadership, but other people then for them, the trappings of power and all of that for them make them want for stay longer. But it's a look. We've been take over as young officers who make 3 commitments. We want for set the economy right, we want for end the war, and return the country to democratic civilian rule. So I'm going to ensure that we return this country to democratic civilian rule. Amidst apprehensions, amidst fears, amidst concerns, they conduct that election day and pauper a handover to a democratically elected government of the late former president, Dr. Tijan Kaba. So that one day, not just for set the context. So all the things what they talk about, and all jump into run today. He has been a soldier Democrat. He's been a Democrat at heart from where he started this long journey. So you come again, I go just list a whole lot of things and then I can zero in on them one after the other. Let's start with himself. The president is a product of a democratic arrangement. He won elections fairly and squarely in 2018. Now he became president, right? And been sworn an oath for uphold then democratic values. So you have democratically elected President Bio here at State House. We in the campaign, they make commitments, other politicians they don't use for make promise. But President Bio talking a commitment they make. He committed, for example, So look, when I win, I go for make sure say we repeal criminal libel law. Now one of them good governance are remaining because you talk about human rights. The 1991 constitution very clear, but free speech, for criminalizer, right? We know say before President Bill come, governments and non come and go. All man they promise, they shoot breeze in the end. They know they deliver nothing. Some they not even come to power on the back of repealing the criminal libel law. They not do anything. This President Bill with the media, all kind of cause, all kind of fictitious allegation, all kind of bad name and game for nothing. And necessary for the most part on professional sections of the media. But the president say, look, it did not TRC recommendation say for repeal criminal libel law. Every year, it did not the Human Rights Commission report so for repeal criminal libel law because they infringe on free speech. Article 19 and global rights bodies they say for repeal criminal libel law. And the president not so because the one tick box, they commit personally for the one and they do the repeal. So that side that is promise made, promise delivered. 10 points over 10. Then you come. You talk about abolishing the death penalty. Now Africa has so global democracy records there and shared the rights and democracy they in recession. Now many parts of the world they in retreat. Salona will continue for give more and more rights under this president. Even though for most African governments and for death penalty in their law books, they say for keep tick behind the mouth. President Bill said no government, not for participate in the killing of your own citizens, be it through the judiciary or otherwise. So abolish the death penalty. Not to say not being opposition, even within cabinet, of course for members of the public. I mean the debate be raging, it be hot, but the president said, look, we have to be a civilized country and join the rest of the world so that we don't participate in murdering our own citizens for whatever reasons. So abolish the death penalty. Where rape and other issues that now become quite an issue. These were younger, some of them babies that were being raped, sexually penetrated, and they died and they deformed for life. I mean, domestic violence and all that, and then they're on the high, all-time high. The president said, look, this would talk about 51% of the population, women. So, picking there, now future leaders, we got to do something about that. He declared rape, violence against women and all that in a national emergency. And followed by that, we put in place some of the world's most stringent measures for make sure she will cover, we will stop her, we will deal with her. But that in itself was not enough. We'll go ahead and set up sexual model sexual offenses courts. What's the name? Then court, then the way the care go, you matter, you follow up with interest, it done expeditiously, they not the delay forever. Before now, what happen, you go court, you work at it, so then you work at it, you say lost interest by the case. And when they talk about rule of law, business, justice issues, when a democratic business that one day, they say justice delayed, not justice denied. So they deny them victims and they justice all in years. President Bill said no, we cannot as a government be complicit in this. So provisions were made, courtesy of the Chief Justice and others. That court they do very well and reports they say rape, sexual violence and other things there. A day in research, a day on the law now, because this one they add to Madam First Lady in campaign, hands of our gas, and then in the way they take across the country. This has to be acknowledged. Now, major democratic move that one day. We also don't strengthen boku democratic institutions there. Yeah, we don't talk about the ACC, Anti-Corruption Commission. We know the gains that we don't make in terms of transparency rankings. We've been 128 in 2018. Today we're 110 in 2022. This is a quantum leap. This is not a leap we're able to achieve overnight. We'll not sleepwalk into it. As a result of very deliberate policies, very deliberate actions, and the thing now they do for corruption. On the Global Peace Index, we rank 50. We're one of the most peaceful places in the continent. Again, you talk about rights. Because of the repeal of the criminal libel law, because there are no political prisoners in jail, because no journalists not in a jail because of the practice of their profession, because with the deepen and continue for push the boundaries of freedom, you know, the Freedom of Information Scorecard by the MCC will come also Salonga 98. Now 2 no more left. So subject us to the same test next time around, we'll get over 100. Because we are very poised, we are very determined in the second term of President Bill for make sure say we'll do more and more and more. Civil liberties under the same scores. Again, the question I want to ask, like, not so we no more say. You know, this is what other people, globally trusted, time-tested institutions don't talk about. We civil liberties. Now the MCC scorecard will get 92. What's in civil liberties? Now then, right? Well, for example, my brother CD then get for freely associate for go hold them convention at McKinney, then get police support then get access unrestricted access to SLBC freedom. You know, all them freedoms then they will get 92 per. Not so bound to the market paper or put your own make come on. This not MCC say so. The American man they want to give money. American man they give us the marco you not get. The family understand this. Then go 98 per freedom of information, per civil liberties, and go 92 political rights. That right will post in there for belong to political parties, just for express your own political views. Then go 94 for rule of law. Then go 65 land rights. I want to talk about land rights. Land rights are also rights. They are in fact crucial rights. Now rights they will not for compromise as a nation. Before now, like for woman inherit property from a family, no problem. Legal land and provinces, not issue. With the enactment of the land rights by a very dynamic young minister, Dr. Tural Senesi, under the president in Seso, who don't able for democratize that. So, Khadija, if you get land, your brother then go say, no, you don't go marry, you don't get again. Now the same right. This is a right to put a non-defect for from colonial times. You know, all these years on, nobody not able to give. President Bill believes say, who forgive their rights and they to people there. In fact, forgive meaning to that one they directly. We come under people that they don't walk and succeeding generations there. They don't pass through these streets and they don't want to get rights. We don't even make land rights, land ownership rights, access to land democratic. Now make them don't introduce a lottery. We genius staff they hold on the work. Okada riders is that every facet of life they get an opportunity for raffle and get access to land and area for you and your families. Because Sierra Leone must be seen working for every Sierra Leonean, you know. So by way of opening statements, I can go on. This government again will come in 2018. We'll meet the former administration, don't take a decision on the Constitutional Review Committee. You know, over the years, we'll say the 1991 Constitution, you don't take. And constitutions that come in, they will stand the test of times, but they for able to solve particular problems and challenges in our society. The 1991 Constitution come in, they don't do you. But Sierra Leoneans across the board, across the eye, been on the call for a review of that instrument. The former administration put together an 84-member committee, then go across this country. They spend billions and billions on it, you know, but then literally jettison all the constitutional review reports there. And these are views freely expressed by Sierra Leoneans across this country. Because democracy will say now about government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So the people, their voices were ignored. President Bill don't come in. We don't take most of them in there on board. The ones who are able to enact by through ordinary procedures, they know they do that. The other one will require a referendum, will be subjected to a referendum, inshallah, inshallah, in the second term.
All right, thank you
so
very much.
We'll continue to do more. But this is not just the intro.
All right, thank you.
We need to talk about this more.
Thank you for that premise the way don't lay. And just so on know and the benefits of the listener them, we produce in the time we guess them 10 minutes each for lay your own premise on how you think say President Bill in government don't be democratic for the past 5 years.
Well, 5 minutes I do. Why you not giving me 10 minutes?
You do more than 10 minutes, sir.
All right. Well, the program Good Morning Salon, they continue. And if you just stay tuned in or you just they go now, we Radio Democracy Facebook page. Today now the program Radio Democracy, they look at how democratic President Bill in government don't be inside the past 4 to 5 years now where they complete so. And when I just don't listen to Mohamed Rahman Soare, when are the Minister of Information and Communication, I start for Lady Premise as to how democratic President Bio and government zone be inside the past year them, and they make mention of different areas and where it say, according to President Bio, then ensure say a delivered anything in the way been promised and commitment inside manifesto for achieve. It talk about the repeal of the criminal libel law, it talk about the death penalty where they don't pull, it talk about the rape where President Bio take as national emergency we been declared at the country. It also talk say no journalists not in jail because of them work way then they do, and also make mention of the MCC scorecard where it say under civil liberty, for example, the government may get a pass of 92%, political right, they say the government may get a pass of 94%, and make mention of different other things them where according to the president and government to do for let them go achieve the democratic space where everybody supposed to forget. Well, we continue for look at this topic. Now we come over to the main opposition, the All People's Congress, APC party will be done introduced earlier. We get Sidya Tunis, the publicity secretary-elect, earlier this morning for can talk about waiting and things say President B and government on Talek in terms of democratic practice inside the past 5 years. Well, over to you, Sidya Tunis. You come out from the All People's Congress, APC party. We don't listen to the minister as the premise it don't lay as to waiting government don't do. Waiting on I don't see from the lens of opposition as how democratic this government don't be.
Thank you very much. I give real assessment not only from the lens of the opposition, but I give based on waiting we as opposition know democracy for be, and waiting also we don't see how we continue to see a shrinking democratic space, especially when it comes to our opposition, and also the several human rights abuses will don't happen under this current administration. Opposition supposed to be part of democracy, and we are part of democracy. And also, we get to understand, say, democracy is self-guided by laws and principles. In real context, we get the Constitution of Sierra Leone. We clearly state how we democracy and we electioneering process for look like. In 2018, we all clearly see the elections happen. We usher in President Julius Maada Bio as the winner for the presidential elections. That same election also clearly shows say the All People's Congress, the APC, win the legislature, win our parliament, because we get majority, we win parliamentary seats, as well as the councils across this country. Now, it tells you that one party don't win the presidency, we will all accept, and one party don't win parliament, where clearly the parliamentarians they've been there. But what's happening? Right there, we begin to see the abuse on with democracy. The first step was when it came to the election of the Speaker of Parliament. We know, say, the practice democratically you get for elect Parliament, and mostly anywhere you look at now the world, the majority party in Parliament, they always get Speaker. But what they then do, on that day of the election of the Speaker of Parliament, they get for kick members of Parliament them out forcefully. We all see in the full view of this country, the police went into the well of Parliament, beat parliamentarians out of Parliament, kicked them out, humiliated them. Some of them end up for be hospitalized. Then kick them out simply because they want to get their way of getting the speaker how they want to. And then do the abuse with democracy right there. And all this stop there, we continue to see the continuous harassment of the opposition. We all don't see the many times when we see this administration, they use the judiciary. We get members of Parliament, we spend a whole year legitimately elected. They don't serve the Parliament, and we see how they use the court for remove 10 of the MPs then from Parliament. But let us even say then use the court for remove them. But the laws are clear that when you remove MP in a parliament, we for do by-election. But wetin happen? When they remove with MPs from parliament, the one that will come second, in way they know say na SLPP MPs, the court automatically make them MPs. So they were never elected by the people of this country or by their constituents. The one way not to SLPP can second, then say we for do by election, as in the case of 110. So we now get up to 9 MPs. We don't serve now with parliament. We don't make laws on behalf of this country. We don't vote on major policies we get for influence me and you life. We don't ever elect as members of parliament. When a court appoints them as members of parliament, we not only go against with democratic principles, but also go against with electoral laws and even with national constitution of this country. We don't see that one day repeatedly under this administration. And then we also come to opposition, having the freedom. Mabel, as I speak, now in this country, not only APC and SLPP don't do the National Delegates Conference for elect the leaders. And even we, as APC, we now all see the hurdles, the challenges. We therefore use all sort of way for ensure say we able to do with we elections, then for elect we officers them from lower level all the way to the National Delegates Conference. Even on the day of the National Delegates Conference, we get injunction slammed on we. Not a coincidence, for let we see all the political parties them, the major ones them, injuncted. And not to also coincidence, for let we see political parties them, 2 executives, 1 recognized by PPRC, 1 not recognized by PPRC. We don't see all under this administration. We don't also see how continuously opposition parties, they're not allowed for carry on their activities as enshrined in the constitution of this country. That are for able for assemble, for able for get meetings. Me where they speak, we party office don't get slammed by police. Over 40 tear gas canisters were fired into our building. You go there now, most of the windows then broken. People were arrested and beaten and tortured under this administration simply because people then gather for express their grievances over the removal of our MPs. And only stopped them many times for even assemble. Now we own political party offices. We therefore get clearance from the police, which by right not supposed to happen, because under the constitution, once you know the process, you get right for assemble, you get right for discuss political affairs as a political party, because you already exist under the constitution of Sierra Leone and with electoral laws and even the PPRC Act. But we don't see instances, many, where political parties and they gather, then therefore go scatter their gatherings because they say they don't get police clearance. And you don't also see where even police don't give clearance because of 1 or 2 calls from somewhere. The police then get for withdraw then clearance them from political parties them. The classic case in point recently, Unity Party then began the National Delegates Conference. They don't get police clearance. Then they at the conference, then they assemble, then they do the conference. Police then go there again for scatter and say they don't withdraw the clearance because PPRC not approved. Well, my point here is, even if PPRC not go ahead, but for the fact saying a political party, they don't assemble, they don't process, then a right where the constitution give them. The police not being get right for go scatter them on the premise say PPRC not approve. Even if they not approve, once they don't assemble, they for go ahead. If at the end of the day, whatever elections they do, PPRC get the right for say we not recognize this because we not follow XYZ. But for the fact say police go in for scatter, that in itself they lead to confrontation. Now, many of us who are in opposition, clearly when I all know say we don't suffer torture, we don't suffer suppression. Now very few of we not don't sleep na Pademba Road or CID, or we not don't find ourselves in a court because of we political belief. I get for underline this political belief or statements we would make we're not favorable to government. Not breaking the law, but statements made we're not favorable to government. Now the minister, they talk about the repeal of criminal libel law. Yes, the government will repeal criminal libel law, a process we start from previous administration. But while they repeal law and they introduce an even more draconian law, where are the cyber crime law, where now they don't even attempt for use and for harass opposition. We see Honorable Kemosi say they drag on a court using the cyber crime law, where they wrongly quote just because they want for use and for suppress the opposition. We also don't see the massacre na Pademba Road prison, where are one of the gross human rights abuses we don't see in the history of this country, where we get defenseless inmates, then go there, massacre them. To this day, we don't know the actual number of inmates we suffer or we die in a Pademba Road. We see the massacre in McKinney, where 6 people die over just, then dissatisfaction over a generator. And the disheartening thing about that, even where the massacre and they happen, you see people standing on the premise of the state lodge when our security forces attached to the presidents, they dance it, then go massacre, then go kill anybody who not favorable to the government.
All right,
and
you don't
very
exhaust
recently,
you 10
see
minutes.
the deputy
We
minister
go come back
of
to
internal
you,
affairs
CDA
repeat the same
Tunis.
statement.
We go
that
come
they
back
go
to you.
crush anybody.
You don't
so
exhaust
as we
you.
continue,
You don't exhaust you 10 minutes. We will come back to you. That's CDA at Tunis, a comment from the All People's Congress. They are this morning. The program Good Morning Salon today, Radio Democracy, they look at how democratic President Bio in government don't be inside the past 5 years. And at the program, we get the Minister of Information and Communication, Mohamed Raman Soare. We also get CDA at Tunis from the All People's Congress, and we get Abdul Fatoma, who sits in the middle as civil society representative. We go for Camtra, and let me just take a quick break, and we also want for remind una say today at the program, we producer then they give 10 minutes each where we talk to the guests them for explain waiting and think about how democratic presidents be in government don't be.
In case you just tune in, the program na Good Morning Salon, and today na the program we look at how democratic presidents be in government don't be inside the past 5 years, from 2018 to now, where Salon people and be elect for be president, either able for uphold some of the democratic principles them. We look at 2 today na the program, we look at human rights and how it don't able for open the space for the civil society, opposition party them and other stakeholders them participate inside democracy. We get 3 studio guests them, the government spokesman under the Minister of Information and Communication, the main opposition party, the National Publicity Secretary, CDI at Tunis. They can now to we other guests, we na the civil society activist in na Abdul Fatoma, and in organization they look at mainly human rights activity them na the country. We na Chadi. Mr. Fatoma, I don't listen to the premise where the Minister of Information don't lay for sake of government, waiting they don't do, it don't outline a whole lot of improvements them where according to Ramnaim presidents being government don't do, and it feels say they're able to uphold some of the democratic principles them. You also listen to the opposition member, waiting it thinks say the president in government not able to do it for ensure say then give them the space for participate and save all some of their own activity they will go make them function as opposition party. From a civil society point of view, what is your own opinion in terms of human rights and save the free space for all participate in democracy in a salon?
Thank you very much, Khadija. Democracy is simply the will of the people. And democracy and human rights go hand in hand. No one, not the left, encompassing behind. So, for let you go enjoy your democratic rights, basic fundamental human rights, then therefore be respected. Sierra Leone as a country, we still face significant human rights and democratic challenges. And we still the struggle for get access to justice in this country. They might say improvement on the court, then they sit outside court, then not ever sit down. We still get thousands of people then. We get cases then are caught for over several years. We still get detainees with detention center or correctional centers across the country for over several months without seeing a judge, without seeing a lawyer, having access to a lawyer. And that even make the number of call over the way the judiciary can do, still we're not able for empty, the big backlog the way we get. As I speak now, one judge, they get up to 70-something or 100 and something files on criminal matter. Like the minister be say, justice delay is justice denied. In my own argument, always I can say justice denied is justice dead. When you delay justice, not dead, something. And we still get challenges for get access to food security in this country. We still get challenges for get access to health. These are all democratic rights. These are all human rights issues. We still get challenges whether we accept one another for we political beliefs or we political, ideology in this country. So these are all human rights issues. Them. And we still get state institutions and we see say certain people that we very vocal against existing system. Then people then they for be malign and be pushed outside of the equation. Like a state broadcasting station, they were over years, just the belief that say with a strong allegation that say Abdul Fatoma an anti-government person. So he's not a go to that studio. These are all under human right, freedom of expression, a recognized right. Then you get a freedom of assembly. The freedom of assembly. Now, a right way we for able to gather one side, or we gather some side openly, freely, with protection from the government, and express we concerns. So, the right for let you go protest at this country is very much challenging. The bigger excuse go can say we get security constraints. We believe say government for use a lot of other ideas and innovations by looking for a free space land, even alongside the Peninsula Road. And government demarcates that very side, they say, every public demonstration, when I go assemble on that side and put police there. So if you want for secure the street for every citizen, but let people then they let them voice out their opinion freely. But we get challenges as a country when it comes to the areas. And we also get challenges, when security operatives allegedly take people their life. For let we inquire into that thing and they ensure that say we bring justice to the people of this country and the family members and of the victims we get huge challenges. We get challenges into public inquiries about something will go happen in a community. We get the fire disaster in Wellington, the petrol thing. An investigation be set up for let them look into that. We are yet to see that report. We get challenges in also the prison break riot. What not be the cause? What not be the root cause? What not be the concern why we get to that point as a country? We be promised that say an inquiry will do into that and they get back to it. Nothing not happen. We not read that report. This is not challenge. We be also get the McKinney saga for the generator. And with that, we work with the organization, we work with the Vice President Office and the UNDP after the program. For that we engage people that are McKinney, young people, and the community elders and then explain to we the concerns, why that may happen. A break in communication. Another inquiry be set up, say, then go look into that matter. We get challenges, we get access, for that very report. Then the August 10 situation, the investigation they go on. How far, how long, we still wait as a country for we will get access to that. We development partners and globally recognize, say, we don't make some progress by law reform, by also introducing new laws for strengthening with democratic, and stance them. But yes, still, some of these other things that we are saying, and so many other things, we as a country, we still get challenges to the end. That's not the reality. We need for come to terms with that. And as a country, we need for take a position if we want to be a democratic country or we want to be a jelly system, half enough, democratic and half enough otherwise. So basically, these are some of the things that I think say, we they get challenges with.
All right, we'll continue for the week at the studio. That's Abdul Fatoma, a Komo Chadi, and he didn't have the program today as civil society. He did talk on the topic where really democracy they look at when how democratic presidents be in government on be since 2018 to now. All right, welcome back from the break. The program is still listening to now the Monday edition of the program Good Morning Salon. And at the program this morning, we look at how democratic presidents be in government on be since 2018 to now. And we get the Minister of Information and Communication, Mohamed Rahman Suare. We also get Sidia Tunis from the All People's Congress. And we get Abdul Fatoma from Chadi. I'll come over again to the Minister of Information and Communication. We don't get an opening from Una all. We don't talk about how Una thinks say President Bio in government don't be democratic inside since 2018 to now. And when they come for the second rounds, we continue with the discussion and we don't listen to Una all as moderators of the program. And for come over to you this round, just want to let you make mention of some of the things them where we hear it from Sidia Tunis and also we hear it from Abdul Fatoma and two kids in them what pick up gets for do with freedom of expression and freedom of association. According to them two people, they don't make mention of, for say, from 2018 to now, freedom of association, for example, people and we belong to a certain political party, they not like see the tolerance where people and go feel free say, then go express themselves through demonstration, for example, or sometimes political party them forget and guard against them when they're in our opposition, they not don't see this they happen since 2018 to now. You come out from the government. What did happen with this space? We make with the notice civil society pick them up and also the main opposition party self make mention of that. What happened to this space?
Okay, so let's shine small light on the president's speech, not the commissioning of the Freetown International Airport.
Pertaining to the question.
And up not to 10 minutes to give me. Let we go to me 10 minutes, I will use them. But this is too serious. Such a phenomenal achievement for let me do for this way. I'll make a few things about that.
According to a producer, I get 5 minutes this time around.
Oh, this time around?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, this is a passing comment. You count me 5 minutes while I do this. Okay, so I see where Khadija they talk about them, and this one I note them. You say the new extended terminal. I didn't say you don't shortchange we. It does not represent the truth.
Are you
The truth is...
me?
Eh?
You quote me?
Yeah, no, you are the quote here.
Right,
That's how you frame them. It is not a new extended terminal. This is a brand new airport. You know, I live a greater part of my adult life working at the Freetown International Airport in a leadership position.
So just for clarity's sake,
Yeah.
now 2 airports are longer now.
No, so I focus on the
No, but you
newly
say na a
commissioned
brand
airport.
new
This is a brand new airport.
So
Absolutely.
now 2 airports are longer.
Yes.
2.
Yes.
Now,
So let's go to Mr. Minister. We defend them for look at the whole airport
No.
issue.
So I just said my
And
passing comment. So this
because
is
we
a
want to let
brand
you
new
exhaust you
airport.
5
The key
minutes.
components are, if you say you get
Let
to
the time
station,
not go down that you say we not allow you for talk on the question where we don't ask.
Agree.
About
I
the
go manage my
democratic
time.
space
I go manage my
for
time.
freedom of association and that of expression.
I go manage my time.
Okay.
But important for note say, you know, when you say you get a studio, now all the components they are already here, now you need forget. Now you will get now this airport to the president come out commission. And what to make us really happy and excited, say, are they part of this team? We score this goal. working at the airport for 10 unbroken years in a leadership position. Are they on air? My colleagues and Sabi. They are aware of those moments. Gambia Airport, they decommission some equipment there. Salo, big as we are, we'll not get one shape, we'll go ask for the equipment there. For let Gambia, then they decommission and they bring new one. We'll go bigger there. Let them give them the law can use on our airport. I happy say President Bill don't end that drought. And this airport, like I say, now big opportunity for our country. But they help give us more respect. From a ramshackle place where they provide aviation services, now don't get an airport. But we go cancel that one another time. I just may need for talk of that. It takes Sierra Leone, that airport they them in build land during the Second World War for British troops there. So it don't take we literally something like 85 years for get an airport. 85 years. Around 1939, 38, 39, and now get
Mr. Minister, please,
so
we can come back to the
issues
question
now.
when we
Yeah, no, I've been just
you.
needing for talk about that. Sorry about it. We don't talk about access to justice and not be mentioned it. Now one big thing now one day we don't do. I mean, I know they say we don't get a perfect system. Everything is not honky dory. We not arrive, but we don't make phenomenal gains in this direction. Today, you get resident high court judges in every district. Right? Before now, it was the figure been very dismal. Then the adjourn matters there because high court now been circuit court.
My question, Mr. Minister,
So
now
now-
what happened to the freedom of association and that
Now,
of
can they
expression?
now? City make very outlandish and frivolous statements and let's put them in context now. You talk about the election of the speaker and CD na government students back in 1994 we begin teach me government students and one of them key module and key topic there separation of powers, checks and balances. The legislature is led by a speaker, not to the executive, the controller at all. So important for no say separation of powers day, right? No, you not blame government for something happening in the well of parliament. The police decision, the police what them go do they na court order then go enforce because CD clearly understands say these people they may get issues there for addressing a court. The court give order. So na court order, the police na they rule that. And court orders there meant for be respected.
You get 1 more minute.
As a
sir.
political party, we want for take over government, law and order for be a critical hallmark. Right? The other business so important for note about is when the court being order, the same court being order the vice president removed, we will not be lekker. But that was what they did. The people of Sierra Leone lived with it. Right? The same court, now aiming appoint Ansu Lanzana in replacement, will not be do anything about that. We had our reservations, we still do, yes, but that is what it is. So court orders there, get for be respected. On the Pademba Road killings, I surprised some people that sit down there, but look, gentlemen, if they lead, winner opinion leaders and all these two people there, Lord, they read. I sense we are not doing that. The Pademba Road report is out there for all for read. So I want to encourage you now after this for rush for copies alone and get to that for read. I mean, it's available, openly available, yes.
Right. We'll
See,
come back to
you talk about people there, you talk about being political party activists. After on a convention, I see they battle the police for the security where they provide for now. In another breath, you see, don't they talk about all the things that we don't talk to. This is not they believe is
Mr.
but
Minister,
that's
you
another
don't
matter.
exhaust the 5 minutes. We'll come back to you for
So,
another round of 5
as
minutes.
we there also, I want to let anybody now cite instances of somebody being, in a political party for what he say. You talk about the cyber crime law. I want to talk about that.
We'll come back to you for another round of 5 minutes, please.
This
We'll
is the
continue.
second ending. Too much.
We continue with the program. Good morning, Salon. We can now to the national publicity elect for the main opposition APC party. When I see the Tunis as INSEF, they can get in second round of 5 minutes. Earlier, you be done lay the premise of things they wanna feel say na evidence for sure say for the past 5 years. President Bio not only uphold some of the democratic principles. Them you listen to the government spokesman. According to them, they don't give a level playing field for let everybody participate to talk about democracy and UNA's opposition. Now one of the key player them inside democracy. Apart from the human rights issues that we state earlier, now look at the level playing field, the space for let UNASEF come out with genuine critique them UNA feel say the government no they do right? How genuine una don't be in una cause?
We don't be very genuine. And make I tell you this, Khadija, if you look at the previous administration and before President Julius Maada Bio, one of the reasons we make with democracy be continue for get accolades now the world, now the relationship will be exist between the opposition and the ruling government. And we be the expect that as opposition party, as government, we just come on our power, we hand over to the current administration. We been feel say that will be of value also under this current administration. But unfortunately, it wasn't. Several attempts, we make several attempts in letters, in press releases, and even don't attempt for meet His Excellency the President self for highlight some of the issues they are so we feel say not they go right or will they weaken with democracy. They not pay mind to we. In fact, there are instances wherein political parties leaders were beaten off the perimeters of State House because they attempt for go hand deliver letter for His Excellency the President. So we always don't genuine. We believe say as an opposition party, we get huge number of followers. Now we responsibility for maintain the peace and quiet of this country. Now we responsibility for maintain national cohesion and for maintain unity. And now that make also we believe say now then one day they go strengthen with democracy. Now that make we can emphasize that we follow the law. The minister they talk about access to justice, nobody not deny that. But for dispense justice justly, now the most important thing about with justice system, and that we not they see, unfortunately. And waiting they become even more worrisome now. Now the fact say we they see they want use the judiciary for legitimize illegitimacy. Then always they see laws the way they don't bulldoze through parliament. When we challenge them, then we go now the judiciary for ensure say they're able for legitimize their illegal laws, then the way we know say get for Hamburg this country in the future. Or we go get implications on how we go operate as a country going forward. And then they talk about women, come on. We don't see more women harassed and arrested under this administration than any administration we don't see when a democratic administration in the history, in this country in history. I go name numerous women. We don't spend days in CID, Paremba Road, the likes of Yvonne Akisoya, Sylvia Blyden, Yabo Taslim Sise, Madina Rahman, you name them, Maramalo, Bangura, just about every opposition woman, Femi Claudius Cole, we don't raise in voice against this administration, just like we the men, they don't subject them to some harassment and torture na Paremba Road or CID. And I don't want for come to the airport because I want for stay on this topic, but just for clarity, even the president not call a new airport in tweets day and say he go open a new airport terminal building. So the president himself knows better that is not a new airport. And let me tell you something. New airport they come with. The fact of the matter is we still maintain the same air code. We still maintain the same runway. We don't get. But we will come to that later. Let me stay within the topic we have to discuss.
Thank you.
The fact is, all we are saying as an opposition, we want to see with democracy strengthened. We have all of these different arms of democracy where INSESF don't highlight. We want for continue for see the independence and maintain the independence. In the first place, the judiciary never removed the vice president. No. He was not removed by the judiciary. So let's get that correct.
Who says
you say now the same judiciary removed the vice president. He was not. Let me also say that yes, we want to see the institutions they are independent and we want to see them strengthened. Now with the enter electioneering period, and we see instances wherein already the intervention of security forces don't begin for ensure say political parties they harassed and prevented from carrying out their activities. We respect we forces. We want for ensure say they continue for function
Right.
in the interest of the country and all of us. All of us. The laws are clear as to activities of political parties, and we see repeatedly these laws flouted,
Right.
political parties harassed, and we go continue for stand
Alright,
for
Sidi,
what
you dey
go
exhaust
make
the time.
we exist as political parties and ensure say
Continue
we
for the
people are
meeting.
able to practice democracy freely and then we reflected always.
We go come back to you, CDA at Tunis. The program Good Morning Salon, they continue. We come to the other studio guests. We're Abdul Fatoma. You there this morning in the Service and Independent Eye, and they represent the people under the civil society umbrella, and you come on at Chadi. But taking into consideration all the things we don't discuss at the program this morning, on a scale of 100, those are you go place President being government in terms of performance when it comes to democratic principles, them way we they look at this morning. Also, you go place the performance.
I guess I deliberately dodge that you statistics quota for me. I go on for toe the line of when they get an opportunity for let them talk literally, on democracy and participation.
Why you know for comment on
I
waiting
go
you
come
don't
on that
see
last
and
one.
also you go
No,
place
I
it.
go come on that last one, definitely. But as an opening, I just want for Dodger, for a second. Democracy now about participation. And when people participate in democratic process, that gives them, ownership for own the thing. Because democracy is about the will of the people. And both Sidi and Rado, talk about this, but within the people, they're not able to get clear from the politicians. Now, how we as a people for freely participate and how the atmosphere they don't create. When it comes to participation of political party and voters, you see a sharp increase in confidence in the Electoral Commission. If we go back November 2020, we get the collaboration between the civil society and the EMBs. We help for engage political party leadership and candidate them. Sidi now one of the people that we don't commend with several times, this group, the Election Conflict Prevention and Mediation Working Group. We ensure, political parties, whatever political party, get a fair play when we enter into the by-election process. When it comes to security, when concern come up from the opposition, say, if, 30 police, they protect the SLPP candidate, that also for be leveraged to the opposition candidate then. We ensure that, say, the police comply with the reasonable request them. Then also when it comes to arrest, we don't be vocal for ensure that, say, either we condemn government or we urge government for ensure that, say, then people the way they arrest, if they not commit any crime against the state, not just a political tension situation, make them subject to their arrest then they, for make them go release the amount of people then they. So definitely we don't bring a lot of, improvement. This not the kind about participation when people want in democracy.
So the government gets a pass or a fail on democratic principles?
As a country, we get a huge challenge for meet with democratic standards. So if me, the mark as an examiner, definitely Israeli government cannot pass democracy because we the struggle still, for ensure that, say, with freedom of assembly, freedom of expression, and we still get, issues the way people then they get challenges for get access to the basic thing then. You they get money, now you light, now you add some meter, then still you get huge challenges, for let you go get that light. You get that anxiety for sure, say light go kind of money. You go get money for go buy water na Guma Valley. If person not go there by 9 o'clock, they say then they only sell Give Republic, a 6 bouncer. So if you not get there earlier, these are basic things there. But as a country, we still they get challenged for get access to that. These are all democratic rights. The basic right them all for enjoy. We get so many Sierra Leoneans and still they get challenges. However, we don't make progress by reforming and bringing in new laws and we go build the pillar of democracy. But the full implementation of them laws and you see a lot of public civil servant there, we for be very neutral in politics. We see them openly declaring their interests and the argument against the common citizen, against the political party. So we want to see that space outside all Sierra Leoneans equal before the eyes of the law. It doesn't mean which political party. Democracy not recognize you from the east or the south or the west. Democracy is simply the will of the people. That means we all the inside one base and we operate inside one base and we enjoy one right. Not so suggestive. They suggest the right the way certain people for enjoy at what time and what time. Minister Rado talked about the report. I remember the vice president vividly at the wrap-up, Khadija. I'm very good with my time management. Maybe. Minister Rado talked about the correctional report. When the correctional service do the thing, vice president also say there is another independent investigation apart from the correctional. So the correctional service they report, then they not the public. Right. But that independent report, let me talk about, sir.
Continue for the between at the studio, Abdul Fatuma. We will come back to now the program. Good Morning Salon. They continue.
We still get Minister of Information and Communication with we get the main opposition party, the APC party, the National Publicity Secretary, will get Abdul Fatoma of Chadi. Today, in the program, we look at how presidents being in government are able to uphold democratic principles. Mr. Minister, they come back to you. Earlier, we start for lay premise. You talk about abolishing the death penalty as part of a successive story them as a government. But in as much as we abolish the death penalty, lots of allegations in the upon government about extrajudicial killing, talk about the Tonko Limba, Mile 91, McKinney, Lunsar, Pademba Road Prison, and serve the August 8 to 10 protest will be upon a Freetown. A lot of people be lost their life, although the investigation still gone. And according to the opposition and some member of the public, they talk about all the allegations. Then how you can relate to the abolishment of the death penalty with all the allegations they are on as a government.
Okay, so let's clarify something. I say the court may endorse the removal of the vice president. I don't say that they remove the vice president. And where we political leaders, the opinion leaders, they talk, we got to be very, very mindful of the fact, say, if we make frivolous allegations, they put them judges and then families in harm's way. We don't try to do that. Because you don't see government, they use the judiciary, this, that. And, democracy itself, the oxygen where they keep on going, na law and order, na decorum. So we got to forget that one, the right. You don't talk about all the incidents there. Family members say, following a couple of the attacks that we mentioned, for example, the Tumbo riots, the Pademba Road, they are well calls. And again, let's not pretend like say we get with memory, we don't forget. The president may get calls for address this nation. Before then, precursors with the rich chap seated in Holland or someplace, again, APC members calling for violence, calling for the burning down, inciting people. Literally inciting people. So before any one of their incidents and their incitements and they being count, and they share all over the police. So the police, the security services then get an obligation for preserve law and order. I mean, if any Sierra Leoneans lost their lives in it, it's unfortunate, but the country here, we got for keep on safe, we got for keep on secure. I mean, in McKinney, it was a tragic failure of leadership on the part of the leaders and of the APC. They put on suspecting young guys who have been made poor as a result of 11 years of bad governance in harm's way for go fetch for generator with clearing a government property. Every after the Ministry of Energy do all the salient stakeholder engagements, they were there to tell them for let them go. None of them became not be there. When the thing happened, later when I can't bail people here, nobody came forward. It took a long time. So this is to the young people. People they always say, logo, they in conflict with the law, they know the one day come forward. Right? Then Pekin they know they come forward. So as we go into elections, I think it's one thing that we foresee. Politicians then a message them forget. Now alternative messages them forget to what in government they do. You say, okay, we're not gonna do well with human rights, come back if they bring the criminal libel law. You bring her back to the law book. What alternative policy position? We want to know if you go bring back the death penalty. We want to know if you pull free quality education. We want to know if you still the pull the Lunge airport na Lunge for Krango Mama, where the land acquisition been questionable. No meteorological studies have been done. All ends in the, So now then here the elections for there about not to incite people there and put the judicial members of the judiciary in harm's way. Yeah.
You they say the elections for be about topic
issues.
Yes, issues where owner as political leader then for come and talk to the people. Them.
Yeah.
What if questions then like this one just ask
Not
you?
really the answer, so.
Mr. Minister, please hold on. Ask the question.
Please do.
How una go able for account for some of these issues where allegation they say it happen under President Bio in leadership, especially your for do with allegation of extrajudicial killing?
No, but look, listen. President Bill, you did that you host. One day you don't get unsolicited knocking at your door. No Sierra Leonean no go tell you say you don't knock, they not emit police, they don't knock at your door, don't pull a come on. You have to be of security interest. The issues that all the talk, now lawlessness. Basic lawlessness. Now happen. So these were people in conflict with the law. These were not people murdered in cold blood. I mean, unfortunate, no Sierra Leonean life should be lost. I mean, let's get that very clear. But in the cause of preserving law and order, there are fallouts. It's unfortunate. So Nadame would say, even as politicians and desperate for takeover State House, we they say, let it be about issues. What will you do differently? You go pull airport na Lunge like na Benonse for Krango Mama. Una no want free quality education. Una no believe in gender empowerment, 30% for women. Una no want the repeal. Una no want all the progress, access to justice, where high court, where judges, and they all over every district now. If una no want anything, they wanna put them on the table.
So going to the elections, like you say, let everything be on issues when it time comes for debates. Una again at the ruling government.
Not the happy situation. You know, they heard the singer and the
from the government, Mr. Minister. So, Mr. Minister.
Public radio that they play.
So, Mr. Minister, please. This one they come from you now. We know they play that now. So, Mr. Minister.
This is a music and a dance.
So we know they play Naya. We know they play the music and the Naya. So now, Mr. Minister, going to the elections. Government ready for lead by example also for no issues for the debate on?
Absolutely. We have never incited tribal hate or waiting. We listen very recently, we listen Dr. Tamura Kamara, my in-law. They say, look, oh God, Demia, Bo Abese, now they know more the get job. And he knew he was not saying the truth. He knew he was not saying the truth, but the lie. You know that.
Earlier, CD make mention of the space, how democratic it don't be. Especially for them as opposition. And he also make mentions a few months to the election, not just the APC and the SLPP don't own convention, forget the leaders them. He make mention of the Unity Party.
Which one are Unity Party?
Where be they on the convention?
Which one now on them? Who is leader?
So all the evidence there for sure.
Oh, okay, that's a political party?
Unity Party, yes.
Okay, I'm learning this here now. What the office there? What's the office then? Look, but if APC hold convention, yeah, nobody not stop them. Then we give them police, we give them SLBC, all the kinds of support them get up.
So government are aware
of your school and disrupting. What's the
government are aware say party exists when him so?
Well, not to PPRC. PPRC now they keep a register of political parties. I'm just saying.
Governance under
so let's come to the substantive issues, maybe.
He also
this man say, Mr. Fatoma say, just a minute, Khadija, my trail of thought. Fatoma say, if in the mark on governance, democracy would fail. Patoma, in them days and the word in the elements, I will say, na incompetent examiner. I don't read with scorecard. I don't tell you what the MCC give we. Right. What in global indexes they don't give we. They're obviously more competent than Fatoma. I mean, he has a vested interest. Right. That's a low man. he has sentiments.
All right, many thanks. We come over to Sidia Tunis. Many thanks to you, Mohamed Rahman Suare, Minister of Information and Communication. We come over to Sidia Tunis based on waiting. You don't make mention of this morning as concerns them way the All People's Congress gets regarding President Bio's leadership, way campaign democratic practices. Now we get a few months into the elections. From the All People's Congress, waiting on our expectations then from the government, taking into consideration democracy and allowing people for express themselves. What do they expect?
Mabel, thank you very much. You know, we govern this country 10 years now. We hand over to the current administration. And during we tenure, Sierra Leone has been the most peaceful country in the sub-region and the third most peaceful in Africa. We also been very tolerant. We began good relationship. Government as well as opposition. And that make even when we lost, we hand over power peacefully to them. As we get into the elections now, we know the gains we will make democratically. We are a democratic party. Now that make even the challenges we don't face these past 4 years under the hands of this administration, we don't stay calm. We keep with supporters then calm because we know say there is only one thing we get in mind, and that now for strengthening with democracy and for ensure say we remove this administration through the ballot box. Now that make you never hear we threaten say we will crush the citizens of this country, as you hear from the Deputy Minister of Internal Affairs, we by the way tell we say that a policy directive, which means that's a directive from the government. You never hear we team up the threaten, for cut the head of any opposition leader, or for any cut the head of any leader in our governance. We always insist on making sure that the only weapons where the people of this country get, not them fingers, them ballot boxes, them ballot papers, them inks, and then get for use them weapons, then they for silence any gun and for remove this government from power, because we don't tire with the bondage, with the suppression, with the harassment, with the abuses we would see, and with the denial of the most basic commodities where this country would enjoy. Even they improve electricity, they improve water supply across the country. The minister, they talk about free quality education. President Kabasta time we perfect time, we raise them up to covering secondary schools and even providing tuition assistance and for people in our universities. All of them things, then they will start school feeding program. We start them, it was perfected under us and it been cover every district in this country. So these are things where we value, we initiate, we value them. And going into these elections, I will assure the people of this country that the APC is up to nothing but making sure that we continue for practice true democracy, remove this government democratically. Saying that, however, I call on the government for make them not try anything we go trample on the will of the people of this country, or we go prevent the people from truly practicing democracy. As much as we as the main opposition, they continue for preach peace and quiet to we people regardless of everything we don't go through. We have people who have been butchered in Bondapi. We get people who they don't butcher at Tonko Limba. We get people who they don't butcher at Mile 91 and other places. Their families are grieving. The August 10th, we know now say several people were met in their homes and shot. We now know that, their families are grieving, so all of these things, we know how much anger don't they generate in the people of this country, but we still they talk to them for maintain the peace and quiet, so that at the end of the day, this is the time we themselves get power. This not the time we themselves get voice. This not the time we themselves get for decide. We go consider here and talk all we want for talk, but the people of this country know what they don't go through this last 5 years, and we as political party, we want for ensure say they're able for express their voices, they're able for associate when and how they want for associate within the confines of the law. And at the end of the day, when they vote, their vote will be protected and their will be reflected. Anybody try for take that away from them, then of course we all go expect we will get problems.
The last set of you 5 minutes quickly in 1 minute. How, on a scale of from 1 to 10, how you can assess President Bio in government in terms of upholding the democratic principle on the one they will narrow to down this morning: human rights and for free the space law and all participate as opposition party.
I will give them fairly mark, not more than 2.
All right.
You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, simply because they follow on for repeal the criminal libel law, we will start, even though they introduce the draconian Cyber Crimes Act, but I will give them that.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Fatoma, Yusuf gets your last set of 5 minutes for wrap up with your submission. You now one of the civil society activists that will get between the two politicians and now this morning. Yusuf don't state and clearly say right to protest now still a challenge. Going forward, what will be your word of advice to President Bio in government in terms of opening the space?
Well, one clear thing where I think President Bio in government means for do is for communicate directly with the people on the manifesto, the midterm development, the achievement the way they inside there. Waiting them promise the people them. Waiting they not achieve. How they able for catalog that. Then we get the STI, they still get the STI. Where they collect data. You know, how many jobs they don't create. How many jobless young people then we meet. How many young people then create job for. How many hospitals they don't build where hospital not been there. How many courts, you know, they don't build. Or how many, you know, water facility they don't improve on. How many electricity, you know, access to energy, how much of that they don't increase on. So when you not communicate with the people will never understand what you don't do or what you not do. So waiting then at the public, you know, if not for criticize more, the negative thing where the public they listen to, now that now in the public they consume. So failing actually for put right information is also a violation of human right, because right to information are a basic fundamental right. So any information we hold on the public, you get for make sure say that message they go down to the public. The people get that very message. And then when you listen to two politicians, they're not able to cite for way from the manifestos. You know, waiting actually them believe in democratic principles and how they want for roll that out. Like in case the ruling government fail for strengthening the democratic right of citizens, you know, how them as an opposition, what is the best alternative for ensure say the people of Sierra Leone enjoy a better human right, a better democracy. Then you also see that say the minister a constantly they refuse for accept the reality. I mean, the reality is that telling me say if I'm in a mark, it go see me as an incompetent examiner. You know, accepting the reality that's a mere opinion based on the human rights things and the basic fundamental. You get people that were old like in age since we them born the also then they not ever get access to tap water. These are basic fundamental human rights. When they want, then they improve. We for tap yourself now, we back say, we don't grow from, you know, the lack of access to water inside your home, you know, to now having direct access to water. Nobody not go say Salon not make that progress. We don't make significant progress when it comes to reform and introducing law. I don't repeat this 3 times now. These are all now pillars of a law built with democracy. But then I also be talking about the implementation. And the selected way how we dey arrest some people in this country. The selected way how we dey try some people in this country. Some people then I say earlier on in 10 minutes opening, we still get people then we get maternal court for the past 13 years. We still get people then we don't spend over 6 months or other several months now with detention centers across the country. We get people the way they arrest them without due process. they're still then at detention. These are all a human rights concern. So until, I make a big start with and say, these are challenges. But the fact that say, they make progress, for introduce laws and for little curtailment and these are all mixed issues. But we want to see the reality.
All right, so as to wrap up with you, 5 minutes, from the civil society perspective, from 2018 to now, one of the civil society members don't able for freely express on herself without getting backlash or something attached to different political party them. Una don't feel safe in the civil society space.
That's not the culture of politics in this country. During the APC, me not be SLPP. During this SLPP, me not APC. That's how people they brand me. That's just the culture.
But you they feel safe for do you work in the civil society space?
Well, I not get any arrested or neither, a sign say they get for arrest me. But some of my colleagues and the way they do arrest, some of them will stand with them, for let them go release them. Thomas Moore, Edmond Abu, these are with other colleagues, but these are part of work.
They arrest them.
But in line of their work, they're not going to thief somebody. They're doing the line of their work.
All right, so they can now.
They're doing the line of their work.
All right.
I don't know.
Would they can out to the Minister of Information as INSEF go take
Mr. Me on 5 minutes,
last set of
1 minute to wrap up now. Now all they get 1 minute to wrap up now.
He may not give me 5 minutes.
Now you been get before we carry
So
on
coming back to the issues them we they talk about in the studio, you don't listen to you two co-panelists them, the civil society.
So let me say be examiner. It may not be examiner. My brother Fatoma and I don't feel abysmally. When they talk about democracy, you see the thing that way they bring in, they don't make in such a way that let's say that the whole government they on trial, the whole government manifesto. And they say we not they talk with manifesto promises. I don't say we promise for repeal criminal libel, we promise for do death penalty. All lengths in the hour I don't talk. Now we been commit promises made, promises fulfilled, and the new airports. Now part of the thing that they will commit to. How else I have to say it? Well, the danger is when you get civil society actors there, where then may not able to understand the situation. Then things in a way criticize government, not even saying the truth. This is the problem. It's a grave danger to democracy. What the things say independent arbiters and foresee. For example, electricity. Transmission line we improve from 200 kilometers to about 1,200 kilometers right now. Electricity access from 13% to 38% right now. More communities have homes, more communities have electricity now than they've ever had since independence.
As to wrap up now, government recognize the concerns them we raise, but freedom of association and expression. Recognize and concerns
because we recognize it in the dynamic, we do the repeal, so people then go freely able to speak. My brother talk about the cyber security and crime law. That one day, APC has been a disaster for this country. In 2014, thereabouts, when they land the fiber cable now be part of the condition precedents and that you must have a cyber security and crime law, because when you land cable, exponentially you get more people then connected to the internet. So you need to get laws there for regulate that space, for guide people then correct conduct. This is what we did, and that law they in fact don't make more provision for fundamental human rights protection and others. Fatoma is a risker, then talk, then they will all talk. But the danger of most of the critics of the law is sadly enough, and this is not good for our country, they're not to read, even if they do not with profit. We want to encourage politicians for the read before we speak to our people and misinform them.
Many thanks for joining at the program this morning. Mohamed Raman Suare, Minister of Information and Communication, will come over to you today at Tunis in 1 minute. What you go say to the listening public as we are ahead of the elections pertaining government issues we get to do with democratic principles?
I want to say to the people of this country, for 11 years they enjoy development, they enjoy freedom, they enjoy unity, they enjoy cohesion at this country. Also, everybody participate and enjoy the extensive development we will take across this country, not on regional or tribal basis. And they promised and say, when we remove this government and power, we will see that they exhibit so much arrogance all the time against the people of this country in their utterances, in their acts. We go come back and restore waiting we all don't used to, with our unity, freedom, justice, development, and access to the basic things that where they improve the lives of every Sierra Leonean.
Right.
I dey promise una this, and we go ensure say we uphold the rule of law. We ensure say institutions they're independent in carrying out their duties, so that we all, go get confidence in we judiciary, in we parliament, in we police, in we army, and also in other institutions like tertiary, secondary, basic
Thank you,
educational
CDI
institutions.
activists.
Arrogance no go pay. And I dey advise me comrades or me colleagues now the SLPP, arrogance no dey pay.
Thank you, CDI Tunis. You 1 minute down quickly. Mr. Fatoma, in 1 minute, we get the two main party them, the APC and the SLPP, which win at the studio, and fastly they approach June 24 elections. As a civil society, what you go say to them for ensure say they uphold the rules of law and make sure say them preach peace to them supporter them, so that the country will go into the elections peaceful one.
Well, one thing clear is that the need for go and talk to them party supporters and then campaign politicians and say, where you be politician, not to license for be lawless. You get for respect law and order. No society, not they go forward without the rule of law and accountability. The democratic society go only be thrive on that. But when you see that, say when election come around, you see politicians and political groups become more lawless. Ensure that say they vandalize community and ensure that say they create unrest in the society. So if you intend for can govern people then also you dey scare the hell out of the same people the way you want for govern. That definitely before you can have power or when you didn't have power, you don't start to undermine the democracy. So when we talk about those things, they will become incompetent. But when we don't talk about it, they will become competent. So with that, I just want we as a citizen, we respect each other's opinion.
All right, thank you very much, Abdul Fatoma, Chief Executive for Chadi, where you don't send your word of advice to the two political party them. Well, the program na Good Morning Salon. It comes to you from the Society for Radio Democracy 98.1 FM. Many thanks to we studio guests them. We join we now so this morning for talk on how presidents being government are able for all the democratic principle them for the 5 years now where it don't day in leadership. Michael Sambola and Alex Lawrence Kuma now them produce the program. DJ Cliff gave technical support. Usman Kamara and the team that they make on watch we live on Facebook page. Mina Khadija Banguga, they wish you all a lovely day.
And Osiwa support Radio Democracy for bringing this edition of the program come to honor. And don't forget, on Friday the 17th of March, the ECSL will begin for give the voters ID card. So you know say you been registered, you can come out on the 17th of March. Of course, we'll go forget updates from ECSL as to how on our go for collect on our voters ID card them. Until then, Mabel Kabadi say, get yourself a wonderful day and goodbye.